بسم الله الرحمن
In
الرحيم.
the name of God the Almighty, Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, Arijians. We are honored from the regime, myself, Farah Jarlad, and my colleague Ibrahim Hamad, to present the opening ceremony of the 17th Annual ARIJ Forum. Today, Friday, December 6, 2024. We wished that this forum would have been in a different situation and better situation. Last year, we lost more than 70 journalists. Today, after a whole year from the start of the war, we already lost 190 journalists. 190 journalists were killed by Israel. And what you see behind me, a number of journalists and reporters, some died and were killed. Bilal Jadallah, Ismail Ghul, Mustafa Turaida, and, for instance, Hassan Hamad, who is not more than 19 years old. He was killed by Israel. Israel killed him because he decided to stay in Jabalia camp to cover the crimes of the Israeli army. Some of those in these pictures, despite of the famine, oppression, all types of oppression, decided and chose to remain and report under war and under fire. God bless the souls of those killed, and may God have speed recovery on the remaining. We thank those who decided to be with us, who had more than 170 colleagues have registered in the virtual world. I would like here to remind everybody that for the 5th year in a row, the ARIJ Forum is accessible to the virtual world for free. This year, more than 1,700 colleagues have registered in this forum. And here I would like to remind everybody that all sessions are available in Arabic and in English and sign language. The forum this year comes in exceptional circumstances. Our journalistic body is grieving in Khartoum, in Sana'a, and is bleeding in Beirut and in Gaza. It's no secret, as you know, sometimes we lose our endurance, our comprehension, and it's no secret that every day we lose a part of us that will never be back. In order to start this forum, we will have to start from Gaza, Palestine. Let's have a look.
أمنيتي 2024 هتيجي علينا سنة جديدة وإحنا مخلصين من هذا الحرب ونرجع نجتمع مع أهلنا وأحبابنا في غزة إن شاء الله. ربنا يفرجها علينا من هذا الغم اللي إحنا فيه والعذاب والقصف والتدمير وقتل المدنيين، وربنا يهونها علينا يا رب إن شاء الله.
رسالة يجب أن تصل، رسالة الشعب الفلسطيني الذي يباد اليوم في غزة يجب أن تصل. الاحتلال الإسرائيلي يسعى لتغييب الصورة، سواء من خلال استهداف الصحفيين، سواء من خلال التهديد للصحفيين، أو الأهم حتى بمنع وصول الصحفيين الأجانب إلى قطاع غزة. فأصبح الصحفي الفلسطيني هو المصدر الوحيد للمعلومة، هو المصدر وصوت الشعب الفلسطيني إلى العالم.
استهداف عدد من الزملاء الصحفيين، استهداف عدد من الزملاء الصحفيين بقذيفة مدفعية. إصابة بالغة الخطورة بتر لأحد الزملاء. اسمع، اطلع أقصى بسرعة، ما تطلعش عودة.
يا دكتور ركب.
يا سامي اهدى خلص، حط
البلاتين وركبها خلاص.
بداية أنا كصحفي أعيش كما يعيش أفراد المجتمع. حينما يتألم المجتمع ويتضرر، أيضا نحن نتضرر بشكل مباشر.
يا الله يا الله
الزميل الصحفي شهيد إسماعيل الغول. استشهاد الزميل الصحفي إسماعيل الغول.
استشهاد مراسل الجزيرة إسماعيل الغول والمصور رامي الريفي.
لم تستهدف إسرائيل صحفيين في قطاع غزة.
Israel did not only target journalists in the Gaza Strip and the occupied West Bank. It has also been targeting people and stones in Lebanon. Without the Arab and international world, the legal and humanitarian system stopping this crime so far. Let's watch.
ما ترونه أمامكم الآن هو ليس صاروخاً باليستياً ولا قذائف مدفعية. مايك وسترة تابعة لصحفيين وتابعة لي شخصياً. ماذا قمنا؟ ماذا فعلنا؟ قمنا بنقل جرائم الاحتلال.
كل الاستهدافات التي طاولت الفرق الإعلامية في لبنان منذ 8 تشرين الأول 2023 سواء في علم الشعب أو في طير حرفة وصولا إلى حاصبية كانت استهدافات مباشرة متعمدة على الفرق الإعلامية في لبنان.
تعرضت لتهديد مباشر من العدو الإسرائيلي عبر تلقي رسائل على رقمي الخاص يطلب مني مغادرة الجنوب ويهدد باستهداف عائلتي واستهداف منزلي، وكرر هذا التهديد مرة ثانية ثم مرة ثالثة بإجراء اتصال مع المؤسسة التي أعمل بها. كل ذلك لم يثني عن المواصلة في تغطية العدوان الإسرائيلي. لم أرضخ لهذه التهديدات كما فعل الكثير من زملائنا في غزة وفي فلسطين وفي لبنان.
رحم الله الشهداء الصحفيين في كل مكان.
May all killed journalists' souls be blessed everywhere. And may their families and the press and media have patience. We invite everyone in this hall and in the virtual world to stand for a minute of silence for the souls of all those colleagues who have passed away. Here, from the ARIJ Forum, we, the journalists, fact-checkers, media professors and media students, lawyers, and defending media issues, and those media defenders demand that the killers of journalists in Gaza and everywhere be held accountable. We lost more than 190 male and female colleagues in Gaza. However, the number multiplies several times if we talk about those who lost their families and friends. With us here in this hall, we have the ARIJ partner, Dr. Raed Al-Sharif, who resides in Canada and who lost two brothers in this war in Gaza. Ramiz in the beginning of this year and Ra'fat a week ago, last Friday specifically. May God have mercy on their souls and grant you and your family patience and grant patience to every harmed heart. When you are a father and your daughter is killed before your eyes and she's killed in your arms, you see the Israeli sniper targeting her as she walks with families raising white flags in the forced displacement. This is what happened to the photographer, the father Hussein Jabir, and his killed daughter Salma, whose first killing anniversary was yesterday. We have live from Gaza City, Mr. Hussein Jabir, the floor is yours. I'm talking here from the tents, from the displaced tents in Gaza. I feel so much grief here, myself and my colleagues in Gaza. I lost my daughter, Salma, and I'm still suffering from losing her. Of course, this is a high price that I had experienced just as my other people experienced, but I would continue with the press work despite all the difficulties. The media message should be conveyed to the whole world. Working in the press in this city is only a witness on what the people are experiencing. The details of the genocide, the displacement, the starvation, this important message to the world to convey the voices of the grieved people. I have only one message and one wish, that this war stops or ends. We will not leave but to the sky. Those were the words, the last words written by the killed journalist Rushdie Assarraj before he was killed, to leave behind his wife, Shrouk, and his daughter, who at the time was only 1 year old, Dania. We have from Gaza, Shrouk, Al-Aile. Please. As journalists, male and female journalists, we suffer from all sorts of sufferings under the genocide. This is resilience. However, it's not an easy resilience. We continue the coverage. We continue to experience the inhuman circumstances, the coverage, especially after losing, is very bad. To try to stand up, even though you are about to collapse. However, time doesn't allow for that. The circumstances don't. You cannot afford to collapse. It's very difficult for me to go back to the field, to the same field where I lost my husband, the journalist Sarraj. It's very difficult for me to be a widow under the genocide. Being a mother, it's also difficult for me. I'm always obsessed and terrified from the shelling and bombardment. We came from under the rebel twice so far. So Shrouk Al-Aile was unable to be present here directly, so that's why we had to show you this video. I just want to say, just as all Shrouk's friends and all those who know her, that we are proud of her. We raise our heads up high for her, and we wish for her to continue and to continue the path of Rushdie. May God have mercy on his soul, and to all the other journalists. Yes, Farah, those were some messages from Gaza. Just as ARIJ at the regional level, it's a house for all male and female journalists. The press house in the Gaza Strip was a home for all journalists, embracing all those, training them. It was founded and managed by the killed journalist Bilal Jadallah. Israel killed Bilal while he was in his car. They demolished the stones of the press house. However, the press house is an idea that would never die. It continues with the efforts of those who held the flag. We have from Gaza, from the press house, Hikmat Youssef. Hikmat, the floor is yours.
ويواجه الصحفيون في غزة تحديات كبيرة في
Reporters and journalists in Gaza are facing many challenges, and 190 of them have been killed until this day. Journalists in Gaza were always in direct risk and targeted frequently, and some of their houses were demolished. In addition, they were risking their lives when moving from one place to another, carrying their equipment. In addition to other risks, they were also enduring psychological and mental challenges. They were busy in covering the incidents, made them sometimes unable to protect their families or even protecting them. They were under lots of pressures in trying to convey the real message and under this unprecedented war. And they were accused by defamation and by conveying untruthful messages and illegitimate messages.
فقط أنوه
I would like to say that we tried to have with us to be with us virtually now, but as you know, the circumstances there are difficult. The connection is difficult in Gaza, but anyway, we received those messages. I hope they would be with us in a bit. Maybe we'll keep trying. Maybe they would be able to connect directly. And now, I call to the podium the Yumna Sayed, who has covered the war in Gaza in all professionalism. Ms. Yumna Sayed.
Almost all the media offices are in this tower, along with Al Jawhara Tower, which was directly targeted yesterday. As you can hear now, the raids are directly targeting the tower. Just a while ago as well. I'm sorry again. Oh my God, yes, I need to go down.
اطلع من الهواء اطلع. ايه كملي.
I can't. If you can hear me, I can't. We're going to direct the camera now towards the explosions. Can you hear me? Yes, I've directed the camera now towards the explosion. This is a Shruk tower that has been brought down, as you can see. I was standing right opposite to it when I was talking to you. The destruction is massive. This is one of the biggest buildings. The building has not fallen yet. It has not fallen yet, which means that more rockets right now will be fired towards it.
أدعو إلى المنصة.
I call also the Palestinian director from Gaza, who has been awarded international rewards, and his teams are covering the war in Gaza. And he has lost 3 of his team working in Gaza, the director Ashraf Masharawi. I would like to point out that Ashraf is ARIJ's partner in Hamla until the coverage will be completed. Without his knowledge and his volunteer, we wouldn't have been able to assist the journalists in the and our correspondent in Al Jazeera, Yumna Sayed, we call you please to come to the stage. In all cases, until Yumna arrives, I call please Dr. Zahira Harb, the chairwoman, Dr. Zahira Harb, and ARIJ Director General Rowan Ad-Daman. Please come up to the stage. ARIJ has decided to donate a yearly award for the persistence in journalism, and it will be awarded every year to a journalist or a number of journalists or an organization who have persisted and presented a model for professional ethics. Symbolically with Yumna, Ashraf, Hussein, and Hikmat. ARIJ announces that the Journalist Persistence Award 2024 for exceptional resilience, ethics, ethical profession to every journalist in the Gaza Strip.
السلام عليكم. يعني في غزة حقيقة الوضع مؤلم جدا.
The situation is very painful in Gaza. Everybody knows behind all these pictures you've seen, there's more than 400 to over 420 days. There's a story of guilt. Pictures are very, very painful. More than 192 were killed. That's just not a simple figure, so that your colleague, that's a message from your colleagues in Gaza to learn what's happening there. However, at times, in the midst of the difficult situation, under this ongoing genocide that's before the eyes of the whole world, you see the different types of crimes committed. A journalist or reporter, him or herself, would ask, we are under the drones, what copters, that we're being hit, bombed, and we're being displaced from one place to another, from one neighborhood to another, in grave displacement and ethnic cleansing. Are we heard? Anybody knows about us? At the end of the day, a journalist or a reporter would leave the day and not sure if they'll be able to make it back home. And it's a rightful question to ask the word, where are you? But at the same time, I believe that there is this, we need to at least comfort them, to let them know that there are people outside who are ready to support, to receive the message, to understand what's happening. Regretfully, there are people who are still missing the truth. They don't know about it. They're victims of the disinformation of the Israeli lies. So when they see such honorings and they would feel that there's an echo for their voices. It's resonating. There are others who are carrying the message. There are others who will help in looking for Nidal Haiti, who was killed. We don't know. He's missing since October 7th. We don't know. He's a prisoner. He was killed. We don't know. Maybe this will help to reveal his case. And also, the prisoner Mahmoud Rawa. Prisoners, many of their cases are just missing and neglected. I remember when I called him, he was exhausted. More than 48 hours he kept on covering and reporting, but then he vanished. For 7 consecutive months, we kept looking for him. 2 weeks ago, his brother told me the lawyer barely was able to meet with him. He's traumatized. He is very sick, and he's not being treated, and he's encountering many diseases. Can we at least try to provide treatment for him? He's living in coercive and difficult circumstances inside the Israeli jails. Or the youngest journalist, Hassan Hamad, who was killed. Will we this picture he says, which says, of course he's gone in body, but his spirit is still there. Journalism is not a crime. Do you think that this slogan will fall down and will be neglected by the oppressors when we work on these and convey these principles and values. It's not only their principles. Our job is to convey what's happening, to report to what's happening. I and myself and other journalists, we have covered and reported about war in Ukraine and elsewhere. We're one people, but and we're humans. But if we allow this genocide to go on in Gaza, that will be a green light for other oppressors in other parts of the world. That's why when we protect the journalists in Gaza, the people of Gaza, that's how we protect ourselves, our values, our the coming generations. And that's why every day there should be in our agendas that we as journalists, what did we do to Gaza? What is the message that we should carry out throughout the world and in order for the world to acknowledge what's happening, to be a reason to and a cause to stop this genocide? Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy that I'm able to be in the ARIJ Forum this year. Unlike hundreds of my colleagues, my Palestinian colleagues, either because they are still in the besieged Gaza or because they carry the Palestinian passport under the travel ban for any destination. The Palestinian journalists, since 14 months, since the first day, has been the window to the world. All the world have known, have seen the Israeli crimes against the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. For 14 months, each and every Palestinian journalist in the Gaza Strip was subjected to some sort of targeting, either direct or directed to them, against them, or to their families or relatives or even neighbors. Every Palestinian journalist in Gaza, due to their being targeted by the Israeli occupation, has become or has been called danger, and they have become described as life-threatening, or their presence is life-threatening to everything surrounding them. Despite all that, they continue to cover the genocide. I have always been saying that a Palestinian journalist, why should a Palestinian journalist continue after all these sufferings, atrocities, difficult, very extremely difficult situation, unbearable circumstances? A Palestinian journalist works in exceptional, inhuman conditions. We used to work on the pavement of the hospitals, under tents, under very simple tents, to protect us against the sun and the night cold, with very simple equipment. After all our offices and equipment were shelled and far from our families and relatives. But this resilience, this steadfastness and determination is because of the huge disappointment and the abandonance, disappointment and abandoning us, and being abandoned by the world, who gave up their duties and responsibilities, especially the world foreign press, in their coverage of the genocide against the Gaza Strip and the people of Gaza. How can a Palestinian journalist also give up their people and their land in covering this genocide. This is the only reason that makes a Palestinian journalist so far standing up and resilient, standing before the cameras after 14 months of ongoing genocide. I consider a Palestinian journalist as one of the best and greatest example of all world journalists. All the world journalists need to learn from the Palestinian journalist the basics and the values and the pride in being journalists embodied by the Palestinian journalist in the Gaza Strip. Thank you.
وبهذه المناسبة يعود إلينا
We have, in this respect, we have the photographer Hussein Jaber from Gaza coming back. Hello, everyone. I'm the photographer Hussein Jaber from the city of Gaza, the city that is being under invasion and war for more than 400 days. During this war, I myself and the other journalists, just as the rest of the population, suffered a lot from the continuous genocide against us, from the destruction and the leveling the homes down. I myself was not a survivor from these targets. I was targeted. I and my family were targeted directly. My daughter was killed when she was in my hands, in my arms, and after that, since about a month, I was injured seriously in my arm, but I continue to work as a reporter. I have a message. Stop this war, stop this ongoing killing and genocide against the Palestinian people. Thank you so much to all the male and female journalists who support the resilience of journalists in the Gaza Strip and all those who support journalism, independent journalism. Thank you to the director of the board of directors, Ms. Dr. Zahira Harb, Yumna and Ashraf for receiving this award. Thank you so much.
وبهذه المناسبة
On this occasion, ARIJ is launching a slogan that we will wear in every occasion. It is the vest of a journalist that was targeted and was killed. This slogan will be we will wear it all the time until Israel stops killing everyone. We will find more information about the designer and outside this room and in your bags. And please, can I ask you to wear it now? You have it in your bags. Please put it on. It just symbols. It's a symbol for press. Thank you. And maybe after this ceremony, we will all wear this symbol. And please do visit the art exhibition for the Gaza project investigations within the 3 days of this forum. Listen and use the hashtag of ARIJ 2024 forum. And we will not stop documenting and reporting from Geneva. She came here to be with us. She's the first person to be the special rapporteur, UN special rapporteur for the protection of right of freedom of opinion, the international advocate of human rights. Irene Khan, please come to the stage.
My warm greetings to everyone here. And first of all, I would like to thank ARIJ for giving me the honor of joining you here today. It has been extremely moving and humbling to watch and listen to the words of journalists who are literally putting their lives on their line so that you and I and the rest of the world can hear what is happening in Gaza. Without journalists on the ground, local journalists on the ground, because Israel, of course, does not allow international journalists to access Gaza. Without those brave local journalists, the world would not know the truth. And when we honor journalists, we actually honor not just them, but their families and their loved ones who also suffer as journalists go to the front line. Journalism has become one of the most dangerous professions in the world today. And this region has always been known for being difficult and dangerous for journalists. But it has been made into a killing field right now. Every day we hear more and more stories of journalists being killed in Gaza, in South Lebanon, journalists fleeing from other parts, being locked up, detained just not very far from here in the West Bank. And of course, in many other countries in this region too, it is a hard time for journalists. In Sudan, about 400 journalists have fled, and journalists in exile are not necessarily safer than they were at home, because they are still pursued by threats and restrictions. What journalists are doing, particularly in the context of Gaza, is remarkable, because in my own research and my report, and I have said this to the United Nations General Assembly, I have said it to member states who champion human rights and who are members of the Media Freedom Coalition, that we cannot remain silent. In Gaza, I have detected a clear pattern of killing of journalists, of threatening intimidation, of destroying equipment of journalists, and destroying also other facilities of journalists, banning Al Jazeera, restricting or refusing access to foreign media. All this by Israel shows a pattern that indicates that the intention actually is to obstruct reporting on war crimes. That in itself is a major violation of international human rights and humanitarian law. Journalists are civilians under international humanitarian law, but unlike other civilians, they cannot flee the fighting. They have to go towards the fighting. They have to be there in order to be able to report what is happening, in order to be able to capture on their cameras what is happening. To me, they are more than civilians, they're essential workers in humanitarian situations. And we in the international community have an obligation to strengthen international law, to protect them, and to end impunity by bringing those who commit such crimes against journalists to account. Only 1 out of 10 cases of journalists killed around the world, whether in war or peace, is ever investigated and brought to justice. And that situation has persisted for the past several decades. I think it is a blot. It is a blot on the international community and on all member states of the United Nations that more is not being done to investigate. In particular, I believe Gaza stands out now as a clear sign to us that if we don't have the courage to protect journalists who report on genocide, then we have totally failed them and have failed ourselves in upholding our commitment to international law. As I said, we, the United Nations independent experts, were the first to raise the danger signs of emerging genocide in Gaza several months ago. There are many more voices who are now joining us, and we must continue to push for an end to the fighting, to justice for the people, but also to journalists. And to you who are journalists here and in other places who are listening to us, I say, please keep on doing what you're doing. With all your resilience, with your commitment to truth, we cannot protect human rights, democratic values, or even humanity. And I would say that don't be disheartened. If you feel sometimes that you are alone out there, you are certainly not. And if you feel your voices are not being heard, that is also not true. There is growing support for justice for journalists and for others who are being killed. I am just coming from Germany, and there I saw young people, courageous young people, going out on the streets to protest about what is happening in Gaza. I have been to other countries in the world, to Ethiopia earlier this month, and there too I saw many people protesting. There is growing awareness that journalists are essential, fundamental for the protection of our democratic values and for human rights. Yes, there are countries where democracy is suppressed. Yes, there are countries where authoritarianism is rising, but so too are voices against them. And we have to keep those voices alive. And Gaza will be the real test for the future of whether we are able to call out impunity, the impunity that Israel has enjoyed, not just now, but for decades. I said that 9 out of 10 cases of killings around the world are not investigated in the context of the occupied Palestinian territories, whether it's Gaza, East Jerusalem, or West Bank. Not one single case has been investigated, properly prosecuted by Israel. And that is absolutely unacceptable, particularly given the level at which the killings are now taking place. So I congratulate ARIJ for keeping this issue so clearly on the table, for giving support to those who are fighting on the front lines, and for reminding us that journalism is not a crime. It is actually a public good, and it is based on fundamental human rights. And I want to end by repeating a slogan of one of the organizations on investigative journalists. Killing a journalist does not kill the story. The story will be told, and thank you for your bravery, your courage, and your resilience.
Thank you, Irene. The story of Gaza will reach out to the entire world. ARIJ enters its 20th year. For 2 decades, we have been fighting for accountability. And of course, you know that we fight for accountability in a region that is filled with 1,000 reasons for frustration. Despite that, we continue. We were told since a long time that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. The first step in the ARIJ journey started back in 2005. 3 Danish persons thought about ARIJ. This project started by 3 Arab states to expand to the entire Arab world. We announce now, and for the first time, that we have published today an investigative report number 1000. Rahim. It's an investigation or an investigative report. Safar Barlik, Yemeni in Russia, by our colleague Najmuddin Qasim, which reveals the report reveals the recruitment of Yemenis in Ukraine to fight for the sake of the Russian army. Speaking of investigative reports, during the last 5 years, our investigative reports received 45 Arab and international awards, thanks to all the institutions, the professional, independent institutions who appreciated our work. We are also proud to announce for the first time that ARIJ has joined 1,700 institutions from 100 countries to obtain the Journalism Trust initiative by the organization Reporters Without Borders. our organization appreciates the ethical work mechanisms, press work mechanisms. Next year, we would launch an ARIJ 5-year strategy, 2025-2030, in which we have the networking, training, and innovation merging together in the trinity of investigative reporting, fact-checking, and whistleblowers, with a deep awareness of the era's renewed skills in the data journalism, open sources, and artificial intelligence. Dear colleagues, if you have any interest in any fellowship, in ARIJ fellowship, we have fellowships, numerous fellowships that are open today and will be closed mid-next month. I would be telling you a bit about these fellowships. We have the ARIJ fellowship with NED. It is open for all the researchers, fact-checkers, and journalists across the Arab world. There is another fellowship, the FPU with the Netherlands embassy, and both are open for journalists in Jordan. And lastly, we have the Shireen Abu Akleh Fellowship for the 3rd year in a row for journalists in Palestine. Best of luck to all the interested journalists in this fellowship. All the fellowship announcements are on our ARIJ website and on the social media platforms. So you can also visit the project's exhibit outside this hall to meet with journalists who have experienced the fellowship or Zamala program with ARIJ. The showcases are open until 3 p.m. and from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I personally encourage you to visit these exhibits and here locally and the ones outside. We open a competition for 2 diplomas, one in the data journalism for the 6th year in a row in partnership with Norway. It's a 6-month program, and there's the fact-checking diploma for the 2nd year, which is 7 months. After 15 years of issuing the ARIJ Manual for Investigative Journalism in Arabic, we launched today the 2nd version, the 2nd updated version by journalist and Professor Mark Hunter, along with ARIJ Investigative Reports booklet. Tomorrow night, there will be the assignment ceremony of this manual, so don't miss this. We will be launching the first manual for the climate justice in Arabic language that is available for all newsrooms and journalists within the Sharaka or partnership project with the HIPOS Internews. And I would invite to the stage now an old dear colleague, friend who worked with ARIJ 6 months this year to support investigative work inside the ARIJ team. He believes in climate justice and human rights. He's one of the very well-known, distinguished journalists. He is in charge of the investigative reports department in University in New York. Andrew Laren, please.
Thank you so much. It is astounding to witness the impressive investigative journalism coming out of ARIJ and the training it is doing for all reporters in the MENA region. It is all the more heroic considering the pressures that journalists face here: war, the economics of our business, the restrictions on the press. There is no doubt that the entire journalism world has taken notice of the vital stories you are telling. ARIJ has done so much to foster the growth of investigative journalism year after year. And if you ever wonder whether the world has noticed that all the journalism going on here, I can tell you it has. The growth, the quality of work in the MENA region this past decade rivals any part of the world. This is now my 6th ARIJ conference. I came here first as a New York Times reporter, then as an NBC News investigations editor. I have worked on a lot of international collaborations, investigations around the world. I have worked with ARIJ on major investigations, including international collaborations that led the online retail giant Amazon to admit its role in trafficking and abusing workers in Saudi Arabia, leading to more than 700 workers who have traveled to this region from some of the poorest parts of our planet and who are now getting compensation as a result of our stories. Their compensation has reached almost $2 million to 700 workers. I am proud to have spent these past months working with editors at ARIJ to take other investigations to another level and to a wider audience. I stand in awe of the stories ARIJ has done this year, including the Gaza Project, an international collaboration documenting the unprecedented toll that the war has taken on journalists. Make no mistake, there is a lot of work to be done. The challenges ahead are many. There needs to be more collaboration among journalists across borders in the MENA region. When you are working on stories about topics such as environmental damage, the looting of antiquities, labor abuses, these kinds of stories do not stop at your country's border. There is strength in teaming together to do this work, to deepen your reporting, to create more impact by going across borders. You also need to continue to find ways to do more international collaborations with journalists in other parts of the world, so that your incredible journalism finds new readers and audiences, so that the world listens. That means continuing to reach out like you have been doing. Build bridges, find new media partners in other parts of the world. Earn their trust as a reliable partner, just as they will need to show you that they are good partners. Together, we can all do more to showcase the deeply reported investigations that we all are working on. There are skills we need to constantly be adding. I am sure that is one reason why you are here at this conference. In the United States, our version of ARIJ is called Investigative Reporters and Editors. I'm on its board of directors. No matter where you are, I know that it is crucial that we all continue to learn how to harness tools so that we can do even better investigations. This year, it may be artificial intelligence. Next year, it will be something else. We need to keep getting better. The work is hard. The challenges will never stop. But I am so glad to see you all here at ARIJ as we face these challenges together.
We have accomplished throughout the past 5 years more than 200 investigative reports and more than 200 in-depth reports. And now in this room, as you see, some of our investigations published against all these walls. Every investigative report would start with a proposal until published, goes through a very different journey. That journey would take the in-depth journey of an investigative report that maybe a few months, maybe sometimes make it to a few years. I ask every colleague who have gone into an investigative journalism report with ARIJ, whether work as a journalist or as a fact checker, a supervisor, a lawyer, support to have digital supervision, consultation, or platform, who have shared with us any publication, please stand up. So we need to honor them and applaud for them. Some of them are publishing under fictitious names, and each of them takes risks, very high risk, in order to continue in this profession and in this region. Then this is our opportunity to thank all partner publication houses. Without their support, we couldn't guarantee good journalism and to widen the audience and make it to the to further investigations. AFCN does unprecedented efforts to fight disinformation and misinformation. I call the journalists in the French journalists press and the counselor for AFCN for 8 years and Africa Check and Africa Fact and visiting Peter Johns to visit. So we are calling visiting researcher, University of Westminster, Peter Johns.
Thank you. It takes a lot to build a community like ARIJ, as we've seen, and like the AFCN, the Arab Fact Checkers Network. 34 organizations from 14 countries coming in some cases from media houses that normally compete with each other, but are all committed to fighting for truth, to fighting for information integrity, and all working to the same principles. Why does this common commitment to principles matter? Nearly 50 years ago, I was going to say quite a few years ago, but I suppose I have to be honest about it. Nearly 50 years ago, when I was a small boy at junior school, I was taught about the power of water that moves in the same direction. My class of 30 children had a swimming lesson. We were all made to get into the pool and walk in a circle, all moving the same way around the edge. While we were doing this, it seemed that nothing was happening. But when we stopped and tried to turn back, we couldn't. We discovered the power of a river, the power of a community all moving in the same direction. I was asked to talk today for 2 minutes, and some people who know me and the way I talk were skeptical I'd do that, talk for 2 minutes about the strengths of the AFCN. It's a lot to cover and not a lot of time to cover such a fantastic organization, so I'll focus on this one point. It seems to me that it's upholding this commitment to the same principles, all moving in the same direction, that if allied with smart sense of strategy, makes AFCN the success that it is. Good luck in this forum in strengthening how you live up to and enforce your commitments on this. Of course, we have colleagues here today from the wider fact-checking community, from Africa Facts, from Latam Chequea, from the board of the EFCSN, the European Fact Checkers Network, and from the IFCN, the International Fact Checking Network. The challenges that fact checkers face differ country to country, organization to organization, region to region. One of the strengths of the growing number of regional fact-checking networks is that they're all locally led organizations, adapted as AFCN is to the particular challenges and the particular opportunities of their own region. The way AFCN works is different from the way EFCSN works, Africa Facts works, and so on. But the way they work, through the work of Sajja and her colleagues that are here with us at this forum, and the reason that they are here is because they too have that common commitment to principle, which is our core strength. Thank you very much again to Rowan and Sajja and the team for inviting me to speak, and wishing you good conversations in the coming days of the forum. Shukran.
Since 2020 has worked with us in our previous 5-year strategy and the coming 5-year strategy. The Harvard, he was with us in professor of journalism in Hong Kong. This is the first time that he visits Jordan and be with us in person in ARIJ forums. Ross Settles, please, the floor is yours.
So good afternoon, and let me start by apologizing to the translators, a slight deviation from what I submitted to you. I'm very humbled to be on this stage. I'm somebody who works in the background. I'm a fundraiser, a business guy, and a publisher. So I try to get your stories distributed. So it's very humbling to be up here with the heroes that write the stories and to hear from the front lines in Gaza. So thank you for inviting me. It has been a challenging year. We have had, just in the last month, an attempted coup in Korea, citizen protests in Georgia, the continuing carnage in Palestine and Lebanon, and now a new outbreak in a civil war in Syria. And that is just in the last 4 weeks. So I want to thank ARIJ for inviting me, for bringing all of us together to debate, to discuss, and to breathe. It is one of ARIJ's secret powers, their ability to create a safe space in the eye of this storm for a little calm reflection. And there is a lot to reflect on. New waves of technology disruption, shifting business and funding models, and a desperate need to tell stories and engage audiences in the swirling change around them. I've worked with ARIJ over almost a decade, and I've grown to appreciate their commitment to the art and the science of investigative reporting. I've seen the team muster the resilience to deal with a global pandemic. I've watched as the team worked like a startup, identifying new issues facing investigative journalism and solutions to deal with those issues. The success and scope of the Arab Fact Checkers Network and their pioneering training efforts around data journalism and more recently AI are just the most recent examples of that. The world we face will challenge even ARIJ's creativity, commitment, and resilience. The funding is insufficient, audiences are fickle and distracted, tired of the constant sky is falling reporting. Technology sees no need for journalism. Stories can now be told by a robot in San Francisco or Beijing, or so we are told. The Arab world continues to set the global news agenda, and that requires ARIJ and the journalists and media operators in the region to set new global standards in reporting, techniques for engaging audiences, and approaches to funding and sustainability. Your work in the Arab world is a global necessity. It will not be easy. Journalists by training are often more committed to the traditions of reporting than they are to the requirements of the communities they serve. We live in revolutionary times, and we will need ARIJ to use every ounce of creativity, resilience, and commitment to update these traditions for a new world. So thanks to ARIJ and all of the speakers and participants for giving me this opportunity to listen, to learn, and hopefully to contribute as we go through the day.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you.
ما كان يمكن أن نلتقي.
We have not been able to meet here or to have ARIJ ringing the bell, nor to put the finger on the wound, but for the faith in the donors in our work, in ARIJ's work. Thanks to each and every one of you, those who believe in supporting investigative journalism, regional projects, and the southern institutions of the world, some of which work with other names and others who take the risk to continue in this task and from this region. We are lucky with a board of directors who believe in our work, who give us confidence and complete independence with very professional governance. The word now is for the director of the journalism department, Dr. Zahira Harb, please.
أيها الزملاء
Dear
والزميلات
colleagues,
أصحاب
Your
السعادة
Excellencies, honored guests, we meet here today while the war on the people of Gaza and its journalists is still raging, and the war on Lebanon and its people is also continuing, albeit it's lessened by a fragile ceasefire. It is no secret that Israeli targeting of journalists in Gaza, the West Bank, and Lebanon has become documented with evidence. ARIJ has played an effective role in revealing and uncovering the truth about the targeting of journalists in Gaza through a series of investigative reports conducted in cooperation with international partners within the Gaza Cross-Border Investigative Project. Colleagues, dear colleagues, the years pass and ARIJ grows in age, in experience, and maturity. It has grown and matured and has not moved away from investigative journalism. It has continued, developed, and expanded in support and consolidation of investigative journalism in Arab world. ARIJ is known for establishing the first Arab network for fact-checkers and has worked to provide trainings for many Arab journalists on how to use new and modern tools in fact-checking in the digital world and in the age of artificial intelligence. Is investigative journalism equal without the ability to examine information and cross-checking information to ensure its validity and accuracy? ARIJ took the initiative to offer a diploma in data journalism, which all Arab journalists can benefit from, to enable them to use the digital tools and artificial intelligence mechanisms in processing analysis. Is investigative journalism good enough without the cognitive ability to process and analyze data in its various models? ARIJ has also taken the initiative to establish partnerships with major international academic institutions to keep pace with the technological developments in fields of artificial intelligence so that it can provide greater and more comprehensive experience to Arab investigative journalists. Is investigative journalism good enough without keeping pace with cognitive technology, updated cognitive technology? ARIJ has also decided to open doors to training, to recruitment, to support emerging investigative journalists across the Arab world. Look at Yemen, for example, and its emerging investigative journalism and the role that ARIJ has played in promoting it. Look at Sudan, where journalists tell us that their investigative journalism is now depending on open sources due to the danger and risks of working on the ground. My colleagues, ARIJ keeps pace with developments of all kinds and develops its methods and programs according to the needs imposed by the reality of journalism and journalists in the Arab world, and not any other geographical reality. In the past 5 years, ARIJ has been transformed from an organization that focuses its attention and support on a specific number of investigative journalists who have now become veterans to an organization that brings together and welcomes veterans and emerging journalists alike. In short, ARIJ seeks to benefit from the experience of the veterans to support and assist the emerging ones, and thus ARIJ has become an incubator for the emerging environment of investigative journalists as well as for the veterans. We in the ARIJ Board of Directors are proud that we are an institution whose work is organized according to the vision of open doors, not closed doors, except for a few. And we respect and honor this few. ARIJ is a network that does not provide support based on favoritism or discretion or nepotism, but rather according to declared standards and foundations and with absolute transparency. This support does not exclude any of the institutions and individuals who deserve support. Yes, we in the board of directors are proud of ARIJ, which is not only satisfied with what it has excelled in, but rather tries to excel in providing more and more, without any of us forgetting that focus of our strategy is to promote and support investigative journalism. In my meetings with many Arab journalists, some of them denounced the claim that ARIJ was the one who introduced investigative journalism to our Arab world, and their words were that journalism in the Arab world was not devoid of in-depth investigations. They have a right over us, as we do not claim and should not claim that we have introduced investigative journalism to the Arab world, but we can say with full confidence that ARIJ has gathered global experiences in investigative journalism and has presented it to Arab journalists interested in seeking to uncover the facts and establish the journalism of the issue. In short, we have also learned in how to teach, and we will continue in this path for long. More than that, ARIJ has succeeded in making investigative public service journalism in the Arab world an integral part of the global media space. It has established and supported partnerships and contributed to making Arab investigative journalism cross-border. This is today's action that is a continuation of yesterday's action. In the board of directors, we are proud of ARIJ, which has not withdrawn into itself. We are proud of ARIJ, which crosses Arab borders first before the world. We are proud of ARIJ, which seeks to keep pace with and develop its work team, which has expanded and grown over the past years under the leadership of Executive Director Rawan Al-Daman and on an ongoing basis. On the board of directors, we fully support the work team we have supported the work team in its decision to devote time, effort, and capabilities to helping journalists in Gaza. How could we not devote our time and effort to mobilize financial and logistical capabilities and capacities to help and support investigative and non-investigative journalists who encounter and confront with words and images a war machine that destroys stones and people? Yes, we decided to stand with them, to support them in reality, because there are those who want to kill and hide the truth of their crimes, to annihilate and leave no trace. We have encouraged these young women in Gaza to continue their mission of conveying the truth to the entire world. We have refused to be handcuffed by specific pretexts and frameworks while the campaign of this genocide continues to destroy Palestinians, including journalists. ARIJ has taken the initiative to do all of this, and at the same time, it has worked with international media institutions to produce a series of investigative reports that expose what is happening on the ground in Gaza, most of which have won international awards. I can confidently say that ARIJ team has made tremendous efforts over the days, weeks, and months of past year, efforts that were and are and will remain a source of appreciation, pride, and honor. On behalf of myself and the board of directors, we tell the ARIJ team, veterans and newcomers, including the Arab fact-checking team, and to Raman Daman, we tell you, we are with you, we support what you are doing, and together we will continue the progress of ARIJ towards more distinction and brilliance, always armed with absolute transparency and always striving to empower Arab investigative journalists. We wish ARIJ all the best. Thank you, Dr. Zahira.
ARIJ continues to work. It's a model for us in professional work. It believes in every individual in the ARIJ team, seeks all the possible tools to support the ARIJ teams. Now the statement or the speech is to the Director General of ARIJ, Ms. Darawan Daman. In the name of Allah, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Holland in Jordan and the Ambassador of South Africa, the Selena Mwikena, representatives of the partner and supportive embassies from Sweden, Canada, USA, and other donors, the Board of Directors, friends, the ARIJian. I'm proud that my country, Jordan, is embracing this gathering, this forum for the 17th year in a row. It has a very huge meaning to be in the Dead Sea, adjacent to the borders separating Jordan from Palestine. Can journalism be unbound? The ambition is a great one in a region filled with ambiguity and uncertainty, breathing the turmoil, while its populations experience the waves and storms blowing us in every direction. Dissolving the doubts around us would require a flood of facts. The established rule that the history of geography has produced is that the defeating of the monster requires an awareness about the monster's weaknesses. Amid the dualities of surrender and resistance, maneuvering and fate accomplishments, we stick adhere to the facts, to the credible information and documented and the information from the journalism without restrictions. This is what we're trying to do in ARIJ. We tried as much as we can with ethics and professionalism and innovation throughout this year and the past 5 years to help the investigative journalism and fact-checking in the greater Arab world. I will let you know honestly, it has not been an easy task, especially in light of the overwhelming and high sense of insecurity that is sweeping all of us. But the equation has been clear to us. Diligent work based on faith in what we do, and its compass is the search for correct information, networking at the international level, and an exchange of experiences that would benefit our afflicted Arab journalistic community. Without my team, the ARIJ team, it would have been impossible for me to do anything. I will always have on my mind a quote by a friend from the northern world who is present here in this hall. He said, our official institutions have disappointed you, but us as individuals would never disappoint you. Our weakness are restrictions that we do by ourselves, and our fears and doubts prevent us from experimenting and making mistakes. In light of everything that is taking place around us, I invite you to work together with more intensity, higher professionalism, and firm morals to break the barriers so that we can regain the freedom of the press that has been stolen from us, so that our lives and paths become more present than being forgotten when remembered. Peace be upon you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rawan. And now we move on to the second part of the ceremony. It's the Forum of Gaza project